Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanapran. Om Gyantimirandhasya Gyananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pradhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim Yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Namao Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pisthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Panchatattvamakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. So today we are discussing the 9th chapter, the most confidential knowledge. This chapter is little bit very deep actually. There are many verses in this chapter, very long purports. This is also one of the important chapters for the Bhakti Shastri point of view also. Connection between chapter 8 and chapter 9. In chapter 8, Krishna is explained that an Ananya, unalloyed devotee, surpasses the path of light and darkness. Now Krishna will explain how to become such a devotee. So that we saw about mystics, jnanis, how they can attain. We saw 8th chapter begin with 8 questions of Arjuna. The last question was, how can one know you at the time of death? Then Krishna says, whoever remembers me at the time of death will attain me, or whatever he remembers, he will attain that state. And we also saw, unless we are fully Krishna conscious, it won't be possible for us to remember Krishna at the time of death. Then Krishna talks about some they try to attain Brahman or Paramatma, and some directly Bhagavan. Those who try to attain Brahman or Paramatma, the mystics or the yogis, they can leave. Those who can leave the body at their will, they can make their destination as the goal and will be transferred there. Those who are not qualified enough, their destination will depend upon the time they leave the body. And then Krishna says, but for my devotee, you don't have to worry. So for unalloyed bhakta, those conditions doesn't apply. So how to become an unalloyed bhakta, unalloyed devotee is described in chapter 9. This is placed right in the middle, and name of the chapter itself is the most confidential knowledge. And Prabhupada explains like the kings outside there is like in front there is a force, behind there is a force, in the middle the most confidential part is there, and that is a ninth chapter. Chapter 7 and chapter 9 are virtually identical. Chapter 8 can be seen as a tangent in the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, clearing up some important points before continuing on the same line. Krishna glorifies about different energies that belongs to him, the four kind of people who come to me, four kind of people who doesn't come to me. Anyone who come to me is a great soul. He speaks about himself that he is the source of Maya works under his direction. And people are deluded, that's why they don't know me, although I am the cause of everything. Then Krishna says, still some people deviate and they worship demigods. And there are unintelligent people who consider I do not have a form. So after that, when Krishna was explaining, then he says, finally one can attain me if one knows me as Adi Agya, Adi Daiva. If one can know me as like everything, then one will attain me at the time of death. Then Arjuna asked a question. Oh, can you explain these terms? And how can one know you at the time of death? That was a tangent. Again, Krishna starts the confidential knowledge. So that's a seventh and ninth are kind of virtual. Okay, breakdown, hearing, qualifications and disqualification. Who can hear, who cannot hear? What are the effect of hearing? Then this second section is inconceivable. Very difficult section is called Aishwarya Gyan, Krishna's relationship to the material world. Then fools neglect bhakti, the divine don't. There are multiple sections in this section. Then the last is the glories of devotional service, which is Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. So few verses we will be covering in more detail because they're very deep. This is the first verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha idam tu te guyatamam pravakshami anasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajñatva mokshase subhat. So idam tu te guhyatamam. So Krishna says, now this knowledge that I'm going to describe to you is guhyatamam. Tamam means the most, and guhya is confidential. Now here the most confidential knowledge. We see seventh chapter, Krishna himself starts by saying, now I'm going to tell you a knowledge which is about bhakti and about myself. Then eighth begins with a question, and ninth chapter again begins with Krishna himself starting. Now listen the most confidential knowledge. So this knowledge is most confidential knowledge, Guhya Tamam. So Prabhupada mentions this Guhya Tamam knowledge refers to ninefold process of devotional service. The most confidential is one should use one life in hearing, chanting, listening, etc. The effect of 9 forms of devotional service: one's heart becomes cleansed quickly. One understands the signs of Krishna, because Krishna also says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati, only by bhakti I can be known. One understands spiritual activities. Like Krishna also says, only devotees can know about super soul, like just the signs of Krishna consciousness. Only a devotee can understand. Then Guhyatama, most confidential, Prabhupada mentions in purport. Chapter 2 is confidential because Krishna speaks about how we are spirit, souls, and body is temporary, soul is eternal. Chapter 7 is more confidential. It speaks about how the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego are my separated energy, and all the living entities are my superior energy. So We are just soul is confidential. We are soul and belong to Krishna is more confidential. And this chapter, which is the activity of the soul, the nature of the relationship is most confidential. Then qualification pravakshami anasuyave. Because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge. Prabhupada says envy is the root of misinterpretation. So many people write Bhagavad Gita, but they don't glorify Krishna because they envy Krishna. If anybody would say, like nature of envy is, um, if somebody is a glorious person and if we are envious of them, we always try to find reasons how they are not glorious. We always try to look for ways, some way, like we cannot see good in those whom we are envious. And even if we have to glorify those whom we are envious, it will pain our heart. So that's why these philosophers who don't love Krishna or who are envious of Krishna, they are hesitant to promote Krishna in Bhagavad Gita also. When Krishna says, and these energies come to me, then they say it come from the Brahman aspect of Krishna. So that's the nature of envy. They cannot accept Krishna. And then that's why there are so many interpretations. So that's why Krishna is very open to mention Arjuna, very open to say about himself to Arjuna, because he knows that Arjuna is not envious of Krishna. Only those people can understand Bhagavad Gita. Then means to acquire this most confidential knowledge, hearing. Hearing has two benefits. One is by hearing, one makes spiritual advancement. Prabhupada mentions in the purport, the message that connected to Krishna are very potent. This is what in Gopi Gita also there is a verse, the 9th verse, which was spoken. Srimad Atatam Bo Vigrinanti Ye Bodhida Jana. Srimad means the messages connected to Krishna have divine potencies. So, and that's why Mokshyase Asubhat means anybody who hears these messages about Krishna will be liberated from. Shubh means auspicious. Ashubh, the apostrophe, is it becomes Ashubhat. Many times Ashubhat is spoken with the apostrophe and then Shubhat just for the meter to go right. So moksha se asubhat means relief from anything, miseries of material existence. These are the two benefits of hearing. Prabhupada quotes from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Iha Yasya Hare Dasya, which means even in a conditioned state of material existence, one can consider to be liberated if one is sincerely engaged in loving devotional service. So if one is practicing Bhakti Yoga sincerely, Prabhupada says even if he has all impurity, shortcomings, he still should be considered liberated. So Krishna says, now hear about this most confidential knowledge. By hearing, you will be, you can hear, I'm giving you this knowledge because you're not envious of me. And the effect of such hearing that I'm going to speak is that you will be liberated from all material miseries. And the most confidential knowledge that I'm going to speak actually refers to 9 forms of devotional service. Then Krishna says, but faithless cannot attain me. Prabhupada, very important, he says how faith is created by association of devotees. One thing that is said when Prabhupada came and he gave his association to the Western people, they developed faith in Krishna, not because of Bhagavad Gita, but because of the Srila Prabhupada's personal example. So association creates faith. Then the second verse speaks about the 7 characteristics of most confidential knowledge. It is one of the very, it's a very important verse also. Raj Vidya, Krishna, like 7 characteristics of this knowledge. Krishna calls this knowledge as king of knowledge, Raj Vidya, because it is the essence of all doctrines and philosophies explained before, because it culminates in devotional service. So, Krishna uses the word Raj Vidya 7 characteristics, and in the purport, Prabhupada defines how. So it will be nice for devotees to know, like, for example, why is this knowledge king of knowledge? What are the reasons? Why is this knowledge most confidential? Why? So for that, devotees needs to refer to the purport. In presentation, we have captured all the points. Um, it is the essence of all doctrines and philosophies. We see there are so many philosophies. Like just now, we went to a holistic event. Some people are doing Reiki, some people are doing this energy healers, different people are doing different things. Mm, But then there are so many philosophies, but then the essence of all the philosophies ultimately nobody knows God also. Ultimately, devotional service unto Krishna. Then there are different philosophers: Gautama, Kanada, Kapila, Yajnavalkya, Shandilya, Vaishwanara, and finally there is Vyasadeva, the author of Vedanta Sutra, and he wrote so many scriptures himself. Mm, all the philosophy finally culminates in devotional service to Krishna. Vedaisha service ahameva vedyo Vedanta Veda Videvacha. From Vedas I am to be known. That's why is this knowledge the king of all knowledge. And Krishna also says, one who knows me, there is nothing else remains to be known, because everything else, if even if you know, it doesn't help us in any ways. Ultimately, Prabhupada says all that we need to know is how to finish our business in this material world. Everything else is useless. If you see from spiritual point of view, every other knowledge is completely useless. How will it help you? I mean, it may help us maintain the body and maybe do some philosophical debates, but how is it really going to help us? But all we need to know is Krishna and how to render devotional service to Krishna and finish our life, finish our business in this life. Then Prabhupada also said there is so much ordinary knowledge: politics, sociology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, engineering. But this knowledge is king of all the knowledge. So whether it is the different philosophies, whether it is the Vedic philosophy by so many interpreters, or whether it is the ordinary knowledge, ultimately, this knowledge is Rajvidya, king of all knowledge. Then second characteristics is this is Rajguhyam, most confidential. This talks about the eternal activities of the soul and thus gives positive information. We discussed second chapter only via spirit soul. Seventh chapter, we are part and parcel of Krishna, but then doesn't talk about our activities. This most confidential knowledge talks about the eternal activities of the soul. And what is it that talks about, which is the positive information about the soul? It is to render devotional service, to engage in serving Krishna. So just the understanding that I belong to Krishna is not sufficient. But what is devotional service and how do we render devotional service? How practically can we engage ourselves in as a spirit soul? That is discussed in this chapter. Like we see, the last section covers that. Yat karosi yad ajnasi. Whatever you do it as an offering to me. Whatever you give away, whatever you eat, man manabhar man bhakto, become my devotee, offer obeisances unto me. So not just we belong to Krishna, but what are our eternal activities? How do we live our life to connect with Krishna? That knowledge is given in this chapter for the first time in Bhagavad Gita. That's why this chapter is called most confidential, or this knowledge is called Rajaguyam. Then it is Pavitram Idam Uttamam. Pavitram, purest of all activities. Purifying potential of devotional service is very strong. Um, in the purport, Prabhupada mentions when a man performs a sinful act, and like a seed, it takes time to. He compares basically, no matter how bad we were in the past, this knowledge, through knowledge comes activity, which is devotional service. This chapter describes how to render devotional service, and this path of devotional service is so pure that it can purify independent of how many contaminations we have. So Prabhupada compares sinful activities to growing of a plant. So first a seed is sown, but when the seed is sown, it seems like for some time nothing is happening. Likewise, when we perform any sinful activity, like as devotees also, if because of the illusory energy of the Lord, if we perform any sinful activity, it may seem like nothing is happening. But the seed is sown, and that seed will fructify. It may take just a day or two, or it may take a week, but definitely the reaction is going to come. So it's described kutam bijam phalon mukham papam. Kutam is the inclination to sin. Bijam is when we actually sin. It is in a seed form. Phalon mukham is now it is fructifying whatever sin we have done. And papam is something that we are suffering now. So any stage we are in, they can be eradicated by practicing devotional service. That's why this knowledge is called pavitra. And also the word pavitra idam uttamam. Uttamam, tamas means ignorance or material activities. Uttamam means transcendental. So devotional service is never contaminated by modes. That's why this knowledge is called pavitram idam uttamam. So why it's called Rajvidya? It is king of knowledge, because some is ordinary knowledge, some is like fringe philosophies, and some are even written by Vedvyas. But the essence of everything Vedvyas wrote, everything the king of all knowledge, is this chapter, or the activity of the soul devotional service. Why it is Guhyam? Because it actually tells what a soul should do. That's is very confidential. There are billions of people in human life, and they don't know how to use the human form of life. This chapter tells how everything should be done, keeping Krishna in the center. That's why it's called Rajaguya, most confidential knowledge. And it is Pavitram, no matter what is our past, it will purify us. And Krishna mentions this also, even if one is a lower birth, at the end, Krishna says, by rendering devotional service, he can be purified. That's why it is Pavitram. Uttamam, this activity is not a part of material existence. This activity is transcendental. That's why it's called Pavitramidam Uttamam. Then the next quality, the fourth characteristic of this knowledge is Pratyaksh Avagamam. Pratyaksh means direct perception. By one can directly perceive the effect of this knowledge. It's by self-realization. How one gets direct perception of the self? Prabhupada says by practicing devotional service in association of advanced devotees. When we associate with devotees, we can directly see how this is so pure. When Prabhupada came and he would perform kirtan, he would give talks, his association with whatever he would cook, everybody was like shocked. It was so purifying. They would become ecstatic just because of Prabhupada's own ecstasy. Then by chanting, Prabhupada says, example, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra without offense, one can feel transcendental pleasure. So if it is offenseless, one can directly perceive the purity of this devotional service, 9 form of devotional service: hearing without offense, chanting without offense, remembering without offense. Very, very deep experience. So that's the fourth characteristic, pratyaksh avagamam. If one further helps in the mission, one makes spiritual progress. Prabhupada said, if you assist, you can perceive it in your own life very quickly. Mahaprabhu also said, Karo Paropakar. And that's how, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, we receive a commission. So the pratyaksh or experience becomes easier. Example of Narad Muni, he served, the Prabhupada gives this example in the purport to the second verse of 9th chapter. He served great souls, and he saw, when he went to the forest, he saw Vishnu in his heart. That was a pratyaksh. Tears came from his eyes, his limbs were enlivened. So this knowledge can be directly perceived, not like a fruit is hanging at the end of the life, there is a hope you attain it, but you can perceive it. And the easiest way is practicing devotional service in association of advanced devotees. Like some devotees were mentioning when Ram Roy Prabhu was leading Kirtan, one devotee was mentioning, their hair stood on end. Like, wow, that's amazing. Like it was so divine. So in association of advanced devotees, one can do the pratyaksh, one can perceive it directly. Then dharmyam, it is the perfection of religion. Highest goal of all religion is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Vamsam Paro Dharmo, Yatho Bhakti Adoksaje, Ahitutya Pratihata, Yatmasi Prasidati, which basically says that the essence of all religion is to render unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service, and one who does so can completely, that kind of devotional service will completely satisfy the self if it is not interrupted and if it is not motivated. If it is purely done to please Guru or to please Krishna or to please devotees, no self in the picture, if it is done as a service, then it is very satisfying. And it is the goal of all religion. So it is dharmyam in that way. Susukham, blissful. Why it is susukham? Because it gives positive engagement for senses. In material life, eyes want to see something should not be seen, nose want to smell, tongue want to taste something should not be eaten. The sense of touch in direction that should not go in that direction. So the senses have lower engagement, but all the senses, when they are absorbed in serving Krishna, the mind is absorbed, the eyes are absorbed in looking at the beautiful face of Krishna, nose is absorbed in smelling the flower or tulsi leaf. We may think nothing happens by smelling a tulsi leaf, but then Shastra Praman, the four Kumaras, they smell and they develop love for Krishna. So this is like, it's there. Although we may not experience it, it's there. The potency is there. Then Avyayam is eternally everlasting. Actual devotional service purposes begin after liberation. Actual devotional service. Before that, it is mixed devotional service. It is everlasting because Prabhupada also says soul is eternal, Krishna is eternal, relationship is eternal, so bhakti is eternal. But everything else is temporary and will end. So we discussed who is qualified to beginning, who is qualified, those who are not envious of Krishna. They can actually, because Krishna is going to speak about surrender, Krishna is going to speak about how everything comes from him. He's the source. Everybody should worship him. So Krishna cannot give this knowledge to those who are envious of him, naturally. Then the effect of hearing the message about Krishna is fully potent. The effect of hearing is freedom from material miseries, but faithless cannot attain that. Then this knowledge has 7 characteristics. We saw it is king of knowledge. Then we saw it is the purest. Then we saw it is most confidential. Then we saw it can be directly perceived. Then we saw it is perfection of religion, blissful and eternally everlasting. Now, the next section is Aishwarya Gyan, Krishna's relationship to the world. He begins describing his Achintya Bheda Abheda relationship with the material world. Like, what is Krishna's relationship with this material existence? Very little difficult to understand. Let us see, let us try. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani na chaham teshu avasthita. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Again, this section is very important. Like, describe Krishna's opulences, or describe Krishna's relationship with this material existence, or describe how Krishna is inconceivable. In various ways, questions may come. But the idea is, let's try to understand this. So, again, by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I'm not in them. So let's try to understand. The second line says, Jagat Avyakta Murtina. Avyakta Murtina indicates in unmanifested form. Avyakta means not manifested. So which basically implies that we cannot see the Lord by our gross senses. Avyakta. So Jagat Avyakta Murtina, Prabhupada's purport. This entire universe is pervaded in Krishna's unmanifested form. The reason it is called unmanifested because it does not manifest to material senses. And then Prabhupada says can be perceived by one whose senses are purified by the practice of devotional service. Prabhupada quotes the word Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achinta Guna Swarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ones whose eyes are anointed by love of God can see Krishna everywhere, but we cannot see. So although Krishna is everywhere, he is all pervading, he is in every atom. He is in the heart of all living entities. He is everywhere, but he is unmanifest to us because of our material senses. We cannot materially perceive him, but as we become purified, he will reveal himself to us. That's why he says, that's why he uses the word avyakta. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. Then all beings are in me. What does it mean? All beings are in me. This implies that everything rests in him. 7th chapter says entire cosmic manifestation is a combination of superior and inferior energies. Um, Sunshine spread all over the creation. All universe are resting in sunshine. Just like sunshine has its effect all over the universe. Likewise, all beings are in me actually means, as per Prabhupada's purport, everything rests on him. And everything rests on him means the body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether, the subtle body. The whole material world is made of these elements. The soul is Krishna's superior energy. Everything is Krishna's energy. From that perspective, all beings are in me. Everything rests in me. And then, but I'm not in them. This implies that the Lord, by all pervasiveness, does not lose his personal existence. Some people say, well, if he's everywhere, then he's not there. So Krishna is telling, but I'm not in them means I'm aloof. I'm aloof means I'm in my own Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan, performing my pastimes with my devotees. So I'm not in them. But all beings are in me means everything rests in him because everything is made of material and spiritual energy. And in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded, unmanifested because we cannot perceive him by material senses. But as we become purified by the process of devotional service, then we can see Krishna everywhere. Then um, Prabhupada gives an example of king present in all departments through his energies. He is aware of what every department is doing. He tells the department leads, you act like this, you do like this. So in a way, the king is there in every department through his energy, but the king is aloof. Likewise, everything is resting on Krishna's energy, but he is aloof, performing his pastimes. So is this verse clear? Does any devotee has any question on this? Yes, no?
Yeah, no questions, Prabhuji. It's clear. Thank you.
Okay, then next opulence is Nacha Masthani Bhutani Pasame Yogam Aishwaram Bhuta Brinnacha Bhutastho Mamatma Bhuta Bhavana. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. So this is called Yogam Aishwaryam. Yogam Aishwaryam means this is my inconceivable opulence, Krishna says. Aishwarya means opulence. So Yogam Aishwarya means my internal opulence. So first Krishna says, all beings are in me, which Prabhupada translate as everything rests on him because everything is made up of his separated and superior energy. And here Krishna says, yet everything that is created does not rest in me. These are his opulence. This particular section describes Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva of Krishna, how all contradictions arise from Krishna and ends in Krishna. So he says, yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. So everything that is created does not rest in me implies not directly concerned with maintenance, creation, destruction, etc. In that way, not everything rests upon him. And yet everything that is created does not rest upon me because he manifests himself as Narayan. and different incarnations, Purusha avatars, Manvantaras in different way, and they are doing all the work. And Krishna does not interfere. He's completely absorbed in his pastimes. So everything rests on him. In a way, everything is his superior and inferior separated energy. But everything that is created does not rest upon him because he is aloof. He is Krishna of Vrindavan. Then how he is aloof? All activities are performed just by his willing. So this is Krishna has Satya Sankalpa Shakti, Vishwan Chakravarti Thakur describes. Satya Sankalpa Shakti means whatever Sankalpa he takes becomes Satya, becomes truth. So he just wants creation to happen, creation happens. So his will is all powerful. For us, if we have a will, then Krishna has to sanction it. One Krishna sanction material nature um, makes that thing happen. But Krishna, whatever he desires happens. So he's aloof. Everything rests upon him, but he's aloof because he just desire and he continues his um, pastimes in his own abode, and everything just manifests by his own energy. So in that way, he is aloof. Some people say since God has expanded everywhere, then everything we worship is God. They said why there is no need to go to temple, everything is God. So why? So this argument is refuted here. Krishna is everywhere, everything is in him, but still he is aloof. Krishna says, no, I am separate. So one should not worship Krishna in nature only. I mean, that's an energy of Krishna. Krishna says, but I'm not part of this. I'm aloof. This is from Prabhupada purport. Then opulences continues. As wind rests in the sky, everything created rest in me. Like if you see within the sky, the wind is there. Likewise, within Krishna's zone, everything exists. Without Krishna, nothing exists because everything comes from Krishna only. All are his material, inferior, spiritual, superior energy. So in that way, everything created rests in me. Under the influence of Lord's energy, material world is automatically created and destroyed again and again. At the end of the millennium, all material manifestation enter into my nature. Mahavishnu is the resting place of all material nature. At the beginning of another millennium, the Lord again creates by his own potencies. The Lord is not directly responsible for any of the activities of material existence. His will is fully potent. He simply sanctions the material energy based on the past deeds and desires of the living entity. So these are summary of the last four verses in this section of Krishna's Aishwarya, Krishna's opulences, which basically means Krishna's will is supreme. Krishna desires material nature, then maintains, creates, and annihilates. Everything is done by material nature. Everything, then one thing at the then he Krishna begins by saying material world is automatically created and destroyed again and again. Groundwork is done by material nature. At the end of millennium, all material manifestation enter into my nature, which basically means after Brahma's life, all universes enters into him. Mahavishnu and Krishna says, into my nature. Prabhupada gives a purport. Everything enters into my nature means everything enters into body of Mahavishnu. So in that way, everything into my nature. Mahavishnu is a resting place for all material cosmic manifestation. At the beginning of another millennium, Lord again creates by his own potencies. Then another millennium, again Mahavishnu breathes. And then again, everything is created from his own nature, by his own potencies. In other words, this is Krishna's opulence. Everything he does. This is detailed in Bhagavatam, but very specifically, clearly mentioned in this section 9 chapter, Krishna's opulence. Krishna's relationship with the material world is described in these 7 verses. He creates, he annihilates, material nature destroys. He does not directly interfere, he instructs material nature, and she does everything. So, okay. Okay. Any question on the previous section, Krishna's opulences?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, one small doubt. When sanction, when Krishna sanction, it directly comes from Krishna sanction, or it comes through the Shirodaksha Vishnu and all that sanction thing happened through that channel.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So Krishna expands and he takes the form of all the three Vishnus and Shirodaksha Vishnu. So in that way, Shirodaksha Vishnu is not different from Krishna. And he does not interfere. Krishna, Sakshat Krishna, Bhagwan Krishna, fully absorbed in pastimes, Prabhu. Like he is becoming afraid of Mother Yashoda's stick, of stealing butter. He is eating with his cowherd friends. He's fully absorbed in those pastimes. And his own expansions, they know what to do and then they do everything. He does not interfere. So, because he is inconceivable, he is directly sanctioning, yet he is aloof. And both contradictions lie. This is Achintya Beda Beda. Does it answer, Prabhuji?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
And
Prabhuji, I
then,
have a question.
hmm,
For better understanding, I'm asking Prabhuji, you told us so many times. So Prabhuji, as you said, like living entities, they do have free will, but living entities are conditional and they are forced to act helplessly under influence of material nature. So when we say Krishna sanctions the material energy based on the past deed, so like we cannot change our past deed, but yeah, we can change, or we can control our desires. But Prabhuji, with living entities, we are all the time, under influence of modes, like if it's night or it's dark, or like the weather and all, so the ignorance is high. So in such state, Prabhuji, how to, I mean, what is the practical aspect living entities uh, can control their desire, or did you understand, Prabhuji, what
I understood your question.
yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
By just becoming conscious, I mean, this there can be many answers to this. One thing we can think is if we can disassociate ourselves from our desires, if we can see the modes acting, and if we can see the mode is acting through the mind, and if we can see I'm aloof from the mind, and we are just observing our consciousness where it is going. And then if we see from the source perspective, then we can see that, oh, uh, this particular mode is becoming very strong at this point of time. Um, one thing that I personally do, if any desire comes, then I think like, oh, why is this desire coming? Am I not properly practicing my Krishna consciousness? Did I make any mistake? Is any devotee displeased with me? And this is kind of reasoning I try to inculcate myself when any desires arise. Then a prayer can be offered to Krishna, like Prabhupada would pray. Prabhupada say, Maya cannot touch me, and Prabhupada would say, Maya cannot touch me because I'm always praying to Krishna. Krishna, please protect me from material energy. Prabhupada says the living entity in this in this existence, as long as we have this material body, unfortunately, till the time we have, Prabhupada says we are in a very vulnerable condition because three modes are very strong. One devotee asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, how can I control my mind? And Prabhupada said, it's a nice joke. Prabhupada said, you cannot control the mind because mind is Krishna's energy. And Krishna's energy is as powerful as Krishna. So it is not possible. But then uh, Krishna says, Mama Maya Duratyaya. These three modes are very difficult to overcome. He says Duratyaya, but then he says, Mam Eva Prapadyante Mayamitam Talantite. By taking shelter of me, one can overcome. And we see that personally in Srila Prabhupada's life is he's praying to Krishna, Krishna, please protect me. And that's how it is said that prayers go up, blessings come down, and the protection will be offered. If you take shelter of Krishna, Krishna will help. But we need little bit of like we just want to be aware. Okay, so these modes are acting. It's time to take shelter. What is going wrong? And if we are just conscious and this associated with our mind, then we think of how to resolve the solution, how to resolve these particular desires. Arjuna also says it is very difficult to overcome. I can control the wind, but I cannot control the mind, which basically means the three effect of the three modes, which are strong on all of us. Then Krishna says, yeah, I agree. Krishna says mind is obstinate, mind is very strong. He uses very strong words, Krishna uses, but then Krishna says, still we can overcome it by abhyasena to kontaya vairagena chagriyate, by abhyas practice. We just try, we take shelter of Krishna in the time of need, and vairagya. Vairagya means I'm okay without it. I'm happy without it. Vairagya means some kind of renunciation. So trying to practice renunciation, and abhyas we saw is practicing devotional service. Does it answer, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Just pray for us, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay. Anything else in this section?
Dandavad Pranam, Shamananda Prabhu.
Nandadulal Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, just a quick question, just to clarify some confusion. You had mentioned a couple slides where Krishna is in everything, but yet we're he is not within us. We're within him, but he's not within us. And I thought to myself, when you mentioned the heart and 1/10,000th of that strand of hair, the soul is embedded in the heart. It's kind of like a dichotomy. I hope that,
Confusing.
yeah, it's a little bit. So does that make sense, Prabhuji? The last couple of slides prior to this?
Yeah, that's why this is like he says, Yoga Maishwaryam, it is inconceivable, or Achintya Beda Beda means it is contradictory. And it can be understood from the perspective, if you see the Bhagwan feature of Krishna, then Krishna is aloof.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So like he is aloof in his own abode. So from that perspective, he is not a part of this creation. And he is still doing all the creation work through his energies. He is like, from one perspective, in a form of Shirodakshai Vishnu, he is within all of us. He is doing the maintenance, creation, destruction in form of Mahavishnu, and his expansion as Shiva and Brahma. Everything is being taken care. So everything rests on him because everything is his energy, but he is aloof because he in Bhagwan feature is absorbed in his own pastimes, in his own abode. So
Prabhuji,
both are true. Is that all?
Prabhuji, thank you for your nectar. We miss you so much. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Okay, I think we can move forward now. Okay. Then this is the second last section. Fools neglect bhakti, the divine don't. First Krishna says, now Krishna spoke about his opulence. Krishna says, you're not envious, I'm giving you this knowledge. This knowledge is most confidential, and 7 characteristics of this knowledge. Then Krishna speaks about his own opulences. Basically, his opulence, what his opulence basically means is he's everything. Everything is based on his energy. Creation, dissolution, the living entities, everything going out of the universe is everything coming in. He's part of everything. He's aloof. Like his various aspects, his various incarnations, his will is supreme. Everything, behind everything, he is there. Yet he is in his own abode. So after describing who he is, still Krishna says, fools, they think I'm ordinary human. So this is where we are coming now. Now Krishna is telling, but fools consider Krishna as ordinary human. I mean, he's standing before Arjuna, he's in a human body. He's like a human. Prabhupada says he's like a human, he's not a human. He looks like that because he has 2 hands, 2 legs. So they consider Krishna as ordinary man. That's why Krishna is telling, this is most confidential knowledge. I am going to tell you everything about myself, Arjuna. Because you're not envious of me, I'm going to tell about myself to you. But they don't know me, the fools don't know me. They don't know my transcendental nature, the supreme lord of all that. They don't know I am the cause of all causes. They don't know I am behind everything. Everything that exists is because of me, coming from me. It's me and nothing else that exists. And they think I am an ordinary human being. So Krishna calls them fools. Fools means they don't have knowledge. Then they are called Duratmas. There is Mahatma and there is Duratma. Duratma is deluded souls who are deluded by the material energy, who are seeing through who are trying to understand Krishna through their material senses, through their experiences. And Krishna says, Avyakta Murtina, I'm unmanifest. Nobody can understand me to all these material senses. I'm Avyakta Murtina means his form cannot be understood by material senses. Chaitanya Charitamrita also says, na bhaved griham indriyai. Through the Indriya, through the senses, one cannot understand him. Jiva sevan mukhe hi jiva do. By rendering devotional service through tongue and through other senses, can one understand Krishna. Prabhupada said, eating Krishna prasad, chanting Hare Krishna. That's why, and that's why in the beginning of the chapter we said only devotees can understand this knowledge. Others cannot understand. So fools Duratma, they are attracted by demoniac and atheistic view. If they consider Krishna as ordinary human being, they immediately become demons. Demon basically means they don't believe in Krishna. They don't believe Krishna is God. They think he is ordinary. And people have all these kind of conceptions. I don't know where they get all these conceptions from. So they are deluded. I mean, we were at a festival. It was a holistic festival. Many people came. We are trying to distribute some books. So one person, he said he used to work with Bhakti Tirth Maharaj before his departure. He wrote a book with him. So I was talking to him, and he teaches spiritual knowledge, looks spiritually very, very elevated. And then he asked me, so who is Krishna? I said, Krishna is God. He said, actually, do you know about Krishna? I said, well, I don't know about Krishna. Krishna says nobody can understand. He said, I can tell you about Krishna. I said, tell me, bro. He said, Krishna actually came from Saturn planet. I said, all right. So, this is all like, they are attracted by so many atheistic views. He's a superhuman. They have all these. So Krishna says, only my devotees can understand me. Unless one is chanting, unless one is serving Krishna, devotional service, it is something, the Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashita. It is something that is just Krishna's mercy that we understand Krishna. So Krishna says to Arjuna, although I am the one behind everything that exists, the cause of all causes, still people considered me as a ordinary human. They are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. Hopes for liberation, fruitive activity, culture for knowledge, they have no hopes. They cannot become liberated. They cannot perform karma yoga. How can you perform even karma yoga unless you are attracted to Krishna? Whom are you giving the results to? Like proper karma yoga. Culture of knowledge is defeated because when we are envious, then we will see the knowledge from our own mental speculation. And then, just like there are 700 versions of Bhagavad Gita, they don't accept Krishna. So their culture of knowledge is useless. Their karma yoga is delivered. Everything is wasted just because they're envious of Krishna, or they accept Krishna as ordinary. On the contrary, Krishna says Mahatmas are great souls. Krishna says they are situated under protection of divine nature, internal potency. This is the only place where Srimati Radharani is referred in 9th chapter. They does not divert his Mahatmanas to Mampartha, Daivim Prakriti Mashrita. they take the ashraya of Devi Prakriti. Which our acharyas mentions is they take the ashraya Srimati Radharani because she is the Devi Prakriti, the internal potency of Krishna, Haladani Shakti of Krishna, and Ashrita means they take ashraya. So who are Mahatmas? Who take shelter of my internal potency. So situated in the protection of the divine nature, then Krishna says, because they are under the ashraya, shelter of my internal potency, they are not deluded. They know me as I am. They don't divert and does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna. Internal potency means you'll be absorbed in Krishna. That's the nature of internal potency. Always engage in chanting. And this also comes Satatam Kirti. They are always engaged in chanting. 9th chapter. All these beautiful verses are there. The glories of the Lord perform determined endeavor. Mahatmas are very, very determined in their execution of devotional service. Always within Krishna's zone. Always in the shelter of Krishna's internal energy. Does not do anything which is outside of Krishna or unrelated to Krishna. Then they always bow down to me and they perpetually worship me with devotion, Krishna says. So this is Duratmas versus Mahatmas. Now, some people are atheistic, some are pure devotees, but there are many other who lie in between. So Krishna says in this section, 3 kinds of indirect worshipper. The first kind is Ekatvena, worships Krishna as one with the Supreme. They are lowest, like they think they are God, like these Gyanis. So they are also, they are spiritual people. All these people like Ravi Shankaran, Art of Living, he says, Soham means I am that, I am God. So there are so many people in that category, big. They also practice spiritual knowledge, speak about the soul, speak about everything in this material is temporary. But then they are considered as the lowest form of worship, lowest and most predominant purposes. Most of the people are in this category that we are God. Then there is Pithaktvena, concocts some form of supreme and concocts that form. Includes demigod worshippers, include yagyas. They're all spiritual people. They perform so many sacrifices, worship demigods. In some form, they are worshipping. Krishna says they study Vedas, drink the Soma juice, goes to heavenly planet, enjoy for some time. Once their piety is over, fall down to cycle of birth and death. They are worshipping me only because demigods are my manifestation, but they're worshipping in a wrong way and they attain to the planets of demigod. Those who worship me come to me. Those who worship ghost go to the planet of ghost. This verse comes in this section. So this particular section, after how the flow goes, after Krishna describes the glory of this knowledge, then he describes about himself, how he is inconceivable, his own opulences. Then he says, fools consider me as ordinary. They don't understand my real nature. Devotees know my real nature. They are always engaged. They take shelter of my internal energy, always engage in my devotional service, don't do anything outside Krishna. They do it with great endeavor. They're always absorbed in chanting my glories. They always bow down to me. They perpetually means always, for eternity. It is everlasting. So they always perpetually worship me with devotion. But then the others who are not like atheistic, demoniac people, but they worship me in indirect way, like the demigod worshipper. Then Krishna says, yagyas, yagyas, Krishna says, well, that's also me. He says, I am the fire, I am the butter, I am the Vedas, I am the herbs, I am the chants, I am Om, I am heat, rain, immortality, death. So, and there are 3-4 verses in this section. Just an understanding is sufficient for our own sake. Basically, Krishna already described earlier, everything rests upon me. And most confidential are Mahatmas who worship me directly, but perpetually worship me with devotion, bow down to me, direct worship. So they are Mahatmas, but others, they do so many indirect forms of worship. So then third kind of indirect worshippers. So some are who worship Krishna in some other way. Some are who worship Krishna by thinking they are Krishna. And then some are who worship Krishna in universal form. Prabhupada says among the indirect worshipper, best is these. Prabhupada also says universal form worshipper is for neophytes. Considers, like some people say, one person used to tell me, oh, I know, I understood God. I said, who is God? He says, Son. See, Son is always helping us. Son is God. So this is indirect worship, because Son is a part of universal form in one way. Considers universe to be the supreme organism and worship that. Most of people in America worship the universe actually. They don't know they're worshiping universal form. One lady in one of our program, Western lady, she said, before every day I used to go out and say, oh universe, how can I serve you today? Oh universe, how can I serve you today? And she said, probably I was doing that throughout my life. That's why I came to Krishna now. So there's so many people who worship nature, who worship the universe. So Krishna acknowledges that, and he says, well, this is one kind of indirect worshipper. They cannot conceive of anything beyond the material manifestation. I mean, God also everything within the universe only. So this is Vishwato Mukham. So three kinds of indirect worshipper. First, fools consider Krishna as ordinary, then Mahatmas who know Krishna as it is, then three kind of indirect worshipper who worship themselves as God, who concoct their own form or worship demigods or perform yagyas or various other forms, or who worship the universe. So that is different kind of worshipper Krishna explains. And the last section is the glories of devotional service to Krishna. Any question on the third section? Otherwise, we go to the last section.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, can you move the slide back? I forgot. Can you move the slide back?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji. So universal form, like, is it like as we said, the Lord is perceived in three ways: as Paramatma, as Brahman, and as personal feature. So where does universal form fit in these three?
Okay, Prabhu. It's more like a Brahman feature. More like that he is all pervading. Universal form basically means, like Prabhupada says, if you see the whole, like sun and moon is the eyes of Krishna. Trees are the hairs of Krishna, the universal form basically. And so many things are described in the universal form. It's not really Brahman. It's neither Paramatma, it's not Bhagavan. They, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan exist eternally. Brahman is always there, Paramatma is always there, Bhagavan is always there. But universal form is the only form of the Lord that is temporary by nature. Because once universe come into existence, we see that form. And then when Mahavishnu breathes in, universe enters back, the form no more exists. So in that way, it is aloof from all the three. It's just a different type universal form. Yet they see God everywhere because they say universe is God. So from that perspective, they are in a way close to Brahman conception. Is that all right, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, the last section, which is the most confidential part. This section is very important. The glories of devotional service. This particular verse is very important. If one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Go to the purport. This presentation has many aspects. Try to understand all the aspects of this verse. So there are many things that Prabhupada derives from this verse, and it is very important to understand all these aspects. Then Prabhupada says, first principle is bhakti is easy and universal. It is universal means anybody can take a leaf and offer. Anybody can take a flower, doesn't cost anything. Even an animal can do it. Gajendra offered a flower, Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. It is very easy. It's not like just with love offer something to Krishna. So what is the difficulty? Prabhupada used to say a lady will bring a glass of water in Vrindavan from Yamuna, and she would say, I don't have any strength. Please accept this water. And Krishna would accept her water every day. So it is very easy. It is universal. Then Krishna wants only loving service because the Lord is self-sufficient and not in need of anything. He's Atmaram, so he doesn't need anything from us. But yet he's hungry for love. Prabhupada gives an example of Ganga water offering back to Ganga. Likewise, leaf, fruit, flower, everything is his manifestation, but just offering it back to him is bhakti. Bhakti means one way to express our love for Krishna. My spiritual master says, I took the flower from the garden in my own house and gave it back to mother, and she was so happy. The garden is sown by her. She bought the seed. She watered her. She maintained the garden. I would not interfere at all, Maharaj would say. Everything she would do, I just went from her own garden, from her own effort. I took one flower, give it back to her, but she had tears in her eyes. It's just because why? It's a matter of recognizing. Bhakti means recognizing and giving it back. That's all. Just whatever he has given us, using it in his service is bhakti. So Krishna only wants loving service because everything belongs to him to him anyways. We are all attracted by love. Actually, it is the love that is most fulfilling. My spiritual master also says our happiness, even in this material world, comes from loving exchanges. There are so many people. Some people new, Western people, they come. So we ask, so what brings you here? They said a community. We're looking for a community. So it's so common that people are looking for some kind of community engagements to be together with people. So this is common. It's just misdirected. And when it is directed towards Krishna, it's perfect. Towards Krishna, Krishna's devotee is perfect. So Duryodhan Vidura, we know Krishna didn't want anything to eat from Duryodhan's huge feast and Vidura's peel of banana. He was satisfied because the love principle is focused here. Then bhakti is mentioned twice. This is the only verse where, from what I can remember, where in one verse Krishna used the word bhaktya. Bhaktya is mentioned twice to emphasize bhakti is the only means to approach him. Then bhakti is never causal. Prabhupada says it is an eternal process. Never causal means bhakti does not have a cause. But bhakti is its own cause. In other words, bhakti gives rise to bhakti. If somebody is practicing devotional service now, whatever devotion they have in their heart is continuing from previous life. Bhaktya sanjayate bhakti. So from that perspective, Prabhupada says bhakti is never causal. The bhakti never has a cause. Not that because we helped some people in the past, unless they are devotees. No kind of good karma can give rise to bhakti. Then Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. So Prabhupada says, Krishna is emphasizing what I accept. So unless you offer to Krishna what he says, he will accept. You cannot offer meat and alcohol. And so Prabhupada brings that point here also. Offer Krishna whatever he wants. Avoid offering that which is undesirable and unasked for if you love Krishna. That one point. Then why offer? Because Prabhupada connects that back to third chapter. Anything accepted without offering to Krishna is sin. So that's why we should offer. Then refutes impersonalist philosophers. Prabhupada describe how any sense can perform the activity of any sense, like the Vedas comes from his breath. It is said Vedas are breathing of the Supreme Lord. Krishna breathes the flute. From the sound, the flute comes Gayatri. The Vedas are emanated from the flutes of Krishna, which actually emanate from the breath of Krishna. So his breath can speak. His glands can impregnate. We see Mahavishnu, he looks, and through his glance, all the living entities are transferred into the womb of material nature. And that glance is referred to as Shiva. So his glands can impregnate. He eats, Prabhupada uses the word he eats by loving words of the devotees. Devotees say, Krishna, please eat. So by hearing those words, he eat. Another place Prabhupada says, by looking at the food he eats. So he is omnipotent. He can do anything from any of the senses. So it may be good to understand, okay, what all can we understand? What all can we learn from this verse? Pattam Pushpam Palam Toyam. What all conclusions can we draw? So these are some of the things that Prabhupada mentions. Then recommends Nishkam Karma Yoga. Krishna says, you can even offer fruits of what you are doing, what you're already doing. Krishna says, no, like Prabhupada says, no need to remove anything, just add Krishna. Bring Krishna into the center. So whatever you do, we are doing it for somebody, we are doing it for manager, we are trying to please maybe our superiors. If you're trying to please superior devotees, that is as good as pleasing Krishna. Yasya prasada bhagavad prasado. But material people, then we are trying to do it for somebody. We are trying to do it for maybe a family member, whatever we are doing. Like generally the husband is always earning for the family. Generally the wife is always cooking for the family, for the wife and children. So Krishna says, whatever you do, you are doing it for somebody. Prabhupada says, bring Krishna into the center. Try to cook for Krishna. Try to earn for Krishna. Try to use your skills for Krishna. Try to talk for the sake of Krishna. Whatever you do. And this is bhakti. Bhakti means, like Prabhupada says, bring Krishna into the center. Then whatever you eat, we have to eat, make it Krishna centered. Then whatever you offer or give away, people usually like there is dowry system. People give so much money for their loved ones. I mean, people have tendency to give anyways. Maybe somewhere or the other, this nature is there. Wherever the love is there, we want to offer everything that we have towards the object that we love. So the tendency is there, directed towards Krishna in your own way, but make it Krishna centered. So whatever you do, you're doing it for somebody, do it for Krishna. Whatever you eat, offer it to Krishna. Whatever you offer to anybody, whatever you give away, keep Krishna in the center. Whatever austerities you perform, people do, like, we see in later chapters, Krishna speaks about austerity in mode of passion, goodness, ignorance, for material benefit, to impress somebody, for maybe like fasting for health reasons. So whatever austerity you perform, and so whatever austerities you perform, bring Krishna into the center. So very simple. Prabhupada says, just whatever your situation is, see who is the center. Either we are the center, like Prabhupada says, or extended selfishness, somebody else connected to us in the center. Try to see if we can bring Krishna into the center. That's Nishkama Karma Yoga. Nishkam means without intent, there's no material desire. Everything will happen in the same way. Prabhupada says the activity of a materialist and the activity of a devotee look similar, because they're doing the same activity, just the purpose, the center changes. Then duties for everyone, to mold one life in such a way not to forget Krishna in any circumstance. And when we do everything keeping Krishna in the center, that's bhakti. It is very difficult. Prabhupada himself says bhakti begins after liberation. Devotional service begins after liberation, because till that time, naturally the attachments take away our energy. And that's why Krishna says vairagya, renunciation, helps there, and try to direct and try to keep Krishna in the center. Not easy, but then the bhakti yoga is pavitram idam uttamam. By rendering devotional service, we will become attached to Krishna. When we are attached to Krishna, naturally everything will flow towards Krishna. Then Prabhupada says, yeah, we eat, so eat only prasad. Religious duty, do it only for Krishna, archan. Don't do it for any other demigods. Charity, utilize for furthering Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says, invest in how to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Then austerity, greatest meditator, greatest yogi is one who meditate on Krishna 24 hours, which is the biggest austerity. Prabhupada says 24 hours by chanting on his beats. Prabhupada says he's the biggest meditator or greatest yogi. Tapasya, it's an austerity. Prabhupada would say, one time Govind Prabhu was telling, he said, biggest austerity in this age of Kali is to cooperate with devotees. Don't find fault in devotees. That is an austerity of the mind. So do everything. No need to do extraneous. Fasting on this day, fasting on that day, doing this. No need. Just bring this. Make your life centered around Krishna. Yat karosi, yad asnasi, yad juhosi, dadati, yat. Whatever. Keep Krishna in the center. Then Krishna says, result of acting with mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation. This requires renunciation because we eat for ourselves, we give away for ourselves, or where we find happiness. We do for either ourselves or something connected to us or for an ulterior motive. So this is all because of attachments. And Saraswati Thakur said, why some people are able to make more progress than others is because some are more attached than others. And more attached, they holds us back. So Krishna says, if you fix your mind on me in this principle of renunciation, because one cannot practice yat karosi yad astasi, yat juhosi dadasi yat, unless one practice the principle of renunciation. Beautiful class given by our Vishakha Mataji and I don't remember. What was Prabhu's name? Who came?
Dwarkadhish Prabhu.
Dwarkadhish. Beautiful, amazing class he gave. And um, um, he was speaking on renunciation, how Mahaprabhu loved renunciation. He gave many examples of Gaurangera Bhakta Gana Vairagya Pradhan. He quoted this, that the quality of the associate of Gaurang Mahaprabhu is Vairagya Pradhan. And we see that Sanatana Goswami has a quilt and Mahaprabhu was not happy and he gave it to a beggar. Mahaprabhu was very happy. Then Prabhu gave the example of the king and Shuklamba Brahmachari. They both are fixed in devotion, but Mahaprabhu spent a lot of time externally with Shuklamba Brahmachari and he externally neglected Maharaj Pratap Rudra in all circumstances. He even threatened devotees that I will leave if you ask me again to see the king. So in that way, we see Mahaprabhu was exhibiting this principle of Vairagya Pradhan. Although it's more internal, yet Mahaprabhu's associates, Mahaprabhu propagated that. So when mind is fixed on this principle of renunciation, then one can do everything keeping Krishna in the center. Then one does not hold back. Freedom, this will bring liberation, because if one holds back, then there will be bondage to the auspicious and inauspicious results. Anything done for ourselves or anything done for any other cause, not for Krishna, is a karmic bondage. Sometimes results will be auspicious. When we do something for ourselves, not for Krishna, then naturally we'll be attached to the results and will be either become proud or depressed. The auspicious, inauspicious, whatever happens, it will come to us. For Arjuna, the same fighting, if it is not done for Krishna, may bring inauspiciousness, or may either auspicious or inauspicious. He will win, or he will incur sinful reaction, or he will die. So many auspicious, inauspicious results. All his initial thoughts of Arjuna is auspicious and inauspicious result. So Krishna is telling, if you act on a principle of you want to fight for me. Whatever you do, you keep me in the center. Then this requires principle of renunciation because he was attached to his family members externally. He is a pure devotee of Krishna, but he was acting on that principle. So very, very perfect, tailor-made statement for Arjuna and for all of us. Very, very important words actually. So if you act in this principle of renunciation and you keep me in the center and you do everything keeping me in the center, then you will be free from all auspicious, inauspicious result. You will attain revelation, you will attain me. If you keep me in the center. Otherwise, it's unending loop. Then after these two verses, then the next verse says Krishna is not partial, he's equal to everyone. So one may say, so is he partial to devotees? The answer is no, he's not partial. Krishna says, I envy no one. In general, in this material world, partiality means envy, actually. Why? Because if I like somebody or if I like something, then I dislike somebody else. And the dislike, Prabhupada says, if you don't like anything, that's because of envy. So it's very subtle. So Krishna says, for me, it's not like I don't like anybody, or there is anybody I don't like. He loves everybody equally, because everyone is children of Krishna. So Krishna loves everyone equally. So that's why he's not envious. When we become non-envious, we become neutral. We become Samadarshina. So Krishna is not partial, he's equal to everyone, but whoever renders service unto him is a friend in me, and I am also a friend in him. I am also a friend to him. If you render devotional service to Krishna, Krishna will reciprocate. One example, Prabhupada says in the purport, like a cloud pours water all over the earth, rock, land, and water. Whether it's land, whether it is water, whether it is rock, cloud does not discriminate, shower water everywhere. Likewise, Krishna has given his teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, for anyone to follow, for anyone to accept him, for anyone to render devotional service. He reciprocates how we approach him. Another thing Prabhupada explains is, Lord is like a desire tree. He supplies whatever one wants. You want wealth, Krishna will give you wealth. You have a desire, karma allows, Krishna will give you. You want a house, Krishna will give you. You want a family member, Krishna will give you. You want, whatever thing we are going through, Krishna will give you. All the karmis, they have a particular desire, and Krishna is fulfilling their desire, but there is material desire also. I want to become famous, Krishna will give you. I want whatever you want, Krishna will give you. So is he partial? No. He's like a desire. Whatever you want, he will give you. You want Krishna, Krishna will give himself to you. You want to please Krishna, Krishna will become pleased with you. You want to be envious of Krishna, Krishna will give you a feeling that you're envious of me. In that way, however, you approach Krishna, Krishna reciprocates accordingly. The moment, like he says, if Ravana comes, I will accept him. I'll give him Vaikuntha. I'll give him everything, and I'll become the servant. So, anyways, basically, Krishna loves everyone equally. Yet he is partial to devotees. Is he partial? Yes, he is partial. Why he is partial? Because they want Krishna, so Krishna goes to them. Those who don't want Krishna, those who want energies of Krishna, Krishna energies goes to them. So in that way, Krishna is neutral. So, all right. So then the next one, I think this is the second last. Even if a devotee is imperfect, third last. This section is like the sweetest section of entire Bhagavad Gita. I mean, this section is a section that I personally love the most. And the last section, last 7 verses of 9th chapter. That's what, because of this section, this knowledge becomes most confidential, because the relationship between Krishna and the Jiva is described, detailed. Then even if a devotee is perfect, Krishna takes him as saintly. Api chet suduracharo bhajante mam ananya bhak sadhu eva samantavya samyak vyavasito hisa. Because he is properly situated in his determination. And now material, Prabhupada says Maya is very strong, material nature, and we have a particular conditioning from where we are coming from. We have our own past. Prabhupada says to become free from lust and greed is to be attached to lust and greed is natural, because we have been associated with this foreign nature, with this particular modes associated with it since time immemorial. And then Prabhupada says it takes time to come out of this foreign nature. Our original nature is Jivera Swarup Krishna Nitya Das. So it's natural to be attached in that direction. Very compassionate, he's basically. So sometimes devotees may act based on a lower mode. But if they are fixed in their determination, next day again they get up, they chant. Next day again they get up, they chant. Then Krishna considers them saintly. How Krishna reciprocate is whenever a devotee acts on a lower mode, Krishna will give them suffering. Krishna will give them the action. It will be painful, a bitter experience, lot of anxiety, lot of stress. Mind will become like crazy, wild, agitated. Many reactions will come, and then Krishna will give the inspiration to the devotee. Hey Prabhu, hey Mataji, you acted like this, and there's a reaction for you. Why? Because Krishna wants us to ultimately give associating with the lower modes or increase our determination not to act on those modes. So Krishna will purify the devotee. If a devotee does something against Krishna, Krishna considers him saintly, Krishna loves him, but Krishna will purify that devotee. And that is Krishna's mercy. And through the suffering, Krishna will give realization internally, externally as devotees, and through the mouth of Shri Guru. Krishna will make us realize or give us determination. Yeah, let me only be Krishna conscious. Krishna will purify us. That's why it does not give any other person to interfere if somebody does wrong. Krishna says, I consider him saintly. So when Krishna is considering somebody who is acting on lower modes as saintly, then who are we to consider them otherwise? Who are we to find fault in them? Rupa Goswami says, those who are neophyte, respect them mentally. Those who are initiated, respect them physically. Those who are advanced, serve them. Um, um, so there is no
Hare Krishna.
scope. Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhuji, to interrupt. In that case, like, do we really try to help kids correcting or no, Prabhuji?
Yes, anything you do with love is great.
Okay, understand.
So this is more like a occasional fall down in devotees' relationship. If we observe, if they do something wrong, and if we see, well, they're acting on their modes, then, and Prabhupada also give an example, they are practicing devotional service, they're like taking a shower. So they're taking a shower. Why do you blame them for being dirty? They are taking the shower. They are trying their best. They are serving Krishna. They are stretching themselves so much. So why are we like and looking at some spots here and there? As long as they are engaged in devotional service, Krishna will purify them. And if we are getting some suffering because of them, then that is part of our purification. That is tailor-made by Krishna for us to be in that association, not to find fault in them, to see goodness in them. Krishna will purify them. This is up to Krishna. Krishna considers them saintly. We also need to be purified, right? Krishna will also focus, which is our weak point. Whatever material attachment we have, Krishna will frustrate us there through other devotees. But because we are attached, that's why we find fault in devotees. It is our own purification that is happening simultaneously. Vasana Maharaj says every association is tailor-made for our advancement. We must have to see the hand of Krishna and don't blame the instrument. So does not leave any scope for finding fault, becoming angry because the devotee has a particular nature. No. The devotee is perfectly taking bath, and Krishna is also purifying you by making you associate with them. Everything is tailor-made. So if a devotee does anything wrong, if he's check, is he still chanting? Is he determined in his Krishna consciousness? And Krishna says he quickly become righteous and attains lasting peace. Just a matter of time. It's because we don't associate with anybody else, right? We associate only with devotees. My spiritual master says that association of devotees is most purifying. Everything Krishna arranges for us. Reference in Nasimha Puran compares accidental fall down or abominable acts of a devotee or devotee acting on different modes to be like mark of a rabbit on the moon. Like it is said, like some people say, like the moon has a mark of a rabbit. So it's like you're looking at the rabbit mark and you say the moon has spots. Such spots do not impede diffusion of the bright moonlight. The full light is coming. Right now, outside also there is a moonlight. So the glorious qualities of a devotee that they are chanting, they're aspiring or they're initiated, they are determined in ending devotional service. This is what we should be focusing on, and not, oh, this devotee is acting out of passion, acting out of ignorance, or acting out of goodness. Or this devotee talks like this, or he behaves like this, or he eats like this, or he speaks like this, or he's like this. So everything is compared to a spot on the moon. Caution, do not take it as allowance to act in all abominable ways. Now, it can be, I mean, I spoke it from the perspective of relationship, but also like for our own self when we are impacted by these modes. Even if we do the most abominable activity, which is natural when devotee take up Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna says in Uddhav Gita, he is very strict, and then once in a while he may become weak because of the effect of modes. um, Krishna will give reaction for sure, Krishna will give realization, but there's a very high chance we will make mistake, we will act out of mode of passion, ignorance occasionally. Usually happens when some devotees are unhappy with us, then these modes, the effect of modes increase on us, becomes intolerable. So this will happen, glitches will come, but Krishna will purify us. But we cannot find fault in anybody because they have glitches in their life. This is Krishna considers them saintly. We should also consider them saintly in spite of, because Prabhupada says, material nature is very, very strong, and if it happens, it's all right. But then Prabhupada says the caution, do not take it as allowance to act in all abominable ways. One thought comes and then we act out of passion, ignorance. No, then Krishna says, Mahaprabhu says we have to become tolerant like a tree. So we need to practice that. But Prabhupada says, but because Maya is very strong, occasional fall down is covered. But still Krishna will purify through them also. Devotional service is declaring war against illusory energy. We are going against the flow. It is not easy. So he quickly becomes righteous, attains lasting peace, and promise of Krishna. He says, my devotee never perishes. Even if they do most abominable activities, nothing is going to happen to them. Neha Vikrama Nashosti. They are not going to go anywhere. Today only Ram Roy Prabhu, I think he was mentioning, even if you try to give up Krishna, Krishna will not give you up. Once you take the Krishna consciousness, finished. Krishna will take you back to Godhead, no matter who we are, because Krishna loves us. Okay, then this is the last slide. Krishna says even unqualified classes can achieve Krishna by his mercy. Istri, Vaishya, Shudras, whoever takes shelter of Krishna, they quickly become righteous. Then what to speak of qualified righteous Brahmanas, devotees, and saintly kings. Krishna definitely helps them. Krishna says even if one is a Shudra, now one should not think of oneself as a higher or lower class, but Prabhupada disqualified everybody in Kali Yoga saying Kalo Shudra Sambhava, we are all Shudras. So thinking that somebody else is a lower class than I am, then it's a sign of false pride itself. We are all lower class. We are all Shudras. By birth, we are Shudras. Independent of which body or which gender, which caste, or what we are born, we are all lower class. So And also, Krishna says, no matter how unqualified we are, unqualification is actually coming from a previous life, actually. If we were, say, what the Shudra means, or what does, how I see it as, if I'm too attached to things in this world, then that's because um, in my past life I was very attached and I was very sinful, and that's why now I have all these things in me. And now what do I do? But the hope is there. This verse is not spoken to dishearten us. This verse is spoken for encouraging us. Krishna is telling, okay, you're a Shudra, don't worry. You are whatever you are. Anybody who perform devotional service, you will go back to God and come to me. This is the point that we should take from these verses. So, having come conclusion, Krishna says, having come to this temporary miserable world, one must engage in loving service unto me. There is nothing else will happen, independent of our past. It doesn't matter. Let me take to devotional service now. Let me be sincere now. Whatever my imperfections are because of the different modes, what can I do? That time I was not in knowledge. I was not so fortunate to come in contact with devotees or devotional service, or somehow my situation was not very conducive to seriously practice Krishna consciousness. Let me make use of this life. And essence, Krishna says, Man mana bharman bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Always engage your mind in always thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me. This verse Krishna repeats in 18th chapter also. This is the essence of all the advice. Always think of Krishna, never become. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna, become devotee of Krishna, offer obeisances to Krishna, worship Krishna, chant Krishna's name, serve Krishna's devotees. This is the essence, sum and substance of this. And because of these verses, the last section that we discussed, this is what makes this chapter most confidential knowledge. All right. So that's the end of today's discussion. Are there any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavat
All
pranam.
glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev.
Jai Guru.
Prabhuji, I have one question. Today, actually, I am doing for service. So then related to my mind. So then that's why I say, can I ask you, Prabhuji, can I ask you?
Go ahead.
Prabhuji, one outside devotee is coming. Matlab, he's non-devotee. He is non-devotee. But she banged the door and I am doing my backup service. So he come and she say, do you have any service? So then I am saying, yes, Mataji, Prabhuji, I have Saturday, Sunday, so many service. And immediately ये माताजी और प्रभु जी बोलते हैं कि हम लोग बहुत बिजी हैं, हम लोगों के पास उतना टाइम नहीं है, किस टाइम हम आए, हमारा ये स्केड्यूल है, ये स्केड्यूल नहीं है. तो what should we say that kind of people when come and then say that I want to service and immediately say I am very busy? So what the answer we say as a devotee, Prabhuji, for that kind of
Yeah,
outsiders?
thank you. We should engage them. We should
Okay.
look for, pray to Krishna, how can I engage? It
Mm.
can be as simple as, I mean, see, whatever is in your purview, whatever is in your, if somebody can do something that does not require the cleanliness that you are in because of your service, have them do it. Things like, can you sweep and mop temple hall? Can you clean this table? Can you clean this on the top of the hundi? Can you just remove, can you dust this? Or
Then Prabhuji, we say that answer, we say answer, can you do one round of chanting? This is the way, Prabhuji, we treat them to outside to people.
usually, if you want to do them one round, then you should be there with them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
You
time
should
I am not.
do with them, then they will
Okay.
do. Otherwise, it's difficult for them.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah, Prabhuji, because I feel so bad what I say with them, and he's saying immediately, Prabhuji, you know about false ego, and then he say I am busy, and one way he say I am doing service. So what should I do? So sometimes I am confused what reply back to that kind of devotee, because I don't know which label is he's doing work or not, but he's saying. So I feel myself, oh, I am doing service, and I am say wrong answer, so it's not good for our devotional service. So that's why this question is coming in my mind,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
If you have a desire, Krishna will give you the intelligence from within your heart to engage them.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. Anything else anyone has? All right.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please forget. Just one very basic question, silly question also you can say. So when we praying for somebody to Krishna, say Krishna, please help this person, but whatever problem they have, any like the sickness or something, is Krishna still in the center, or does the other person become the center of our prayer?
Yeah. In order to make it depends upon, are we forcing Krishna or are we making a request and giving Krishna free will to do what he wants? Krishna, please help this devotee. Krishna, I am offering prayers on his behalf. Like, best is we don't force Krishna in any way. Prabhupada would give a simple understanding. He says, we can pray to Krishna, Krishna, please help them. And then we can add, if you so desire. He always said, if you so desire, Krishna, please help them. So give Krishna free will to act.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Understood.
Okay, thank you. Because if we don't give Krishna free will to act, then anyways, Krishna will act in a way that is destined in most cases. If somebody is supposed to die, because we offered prayer, they are not going to live 10 years more, honestly speaking. So that's why it is for the sake of our own faith also, always say Krishna, if you so desire. Krishna hears, but Prabhupada says Krishna is not order and carrier. In a way, Krishna will help them maybe next life. Krishna knows. Krishna has a much bigger perspective than we have. So like when Bhakti Charu Maharaj was departing, Jananivas Prabhu says, well, it is between Maharaj and Krishna. What is Maharaj desire, what Krishna wants? But Jananivas Prabhu was not saying, everyone, because he said, well, it's between Prabhupada, it's between Maharaj desire, it's between Krishna. So it's like they are like Krishna centered. We cannot understand a bigger perspective that Krishna has. So that's why we can say Krishna, if you so desire, that's safe. And also if Krishna does not act in a way we desire, then we already give the free will to Krishna to desire, then we are good. Otherwise we'll feel why Krishna is doing like this, why Krishna is not listening to me. Those things may also come. So for our own faith also, we should give Krishna free will. Krishna, whatever Krishna wants will happen anyways, Mataji. Prabhupada also personally wanted to start his Krishna consciousness from Jhansi. Then he wanted to go to Japan. Krishna is another way. So Prabhupada says we are Krishna's servant. Krishna is another plan Krishna revealed. So that shows even pure devotees cannot force their plan on Krishna. Krishna is like Abhigya Swarat. He is completely independent free will. That's why we always say, whether we are completely pure in our state, we say Krishna, if you so desire. Is it all right?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very good
Krishna,
answer. Thank you.
Krishna wills always prevails. Krishna wanted to glorify Prabhupada. Today, Prabhupada is there all over the world. Jai Prabhupada. So Krishna will glorify devotees, but in his own way. Krishna has a much bigger plan. All right. Thank you. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one question. I'm a
Go
bit
ahead.
confused, Prabhuji. You saying that if we desire something, then Krishna fulfills. But at the same time, Krishna has his own free will, and Krishna has his own plans. So, what should we do? If should we desire?
Did I say if we desire Krishna fulfill or Krishna may fulfill?
Krishna may fulfill, but we know it says that if we pray, then Krishna fulfills our desire. But at the same time, he's having his free will also. Whether Krishna has his own plan that so I'm just confused. Like, should we pray if we have any desire, or we should not pray?
Krishna, if you so desire. Krishna is what I want. Krishna, if you so desire. Krishna may fulfill the desire, but if Krishna sees this is not conducive for us, Krishna may not fulfill it. Or Krishna may fulfill after we become pure and we don't have that desire like Dhruv Maharaj, then Krishna may fulfill, not when we are attached. So Krishna has his own way of working. For materialists, it's simply based on karma. For devotees, it's based on he's our well-wisher. Whatever is good for us. So we can.
Will it be like materially desire will depend like Krishna fulfills like whether it is good for us or not, or spiritually also he acts in the same way.
Sometimes we may force Krishna for small things. It does happen. Krishna may sanction, but then Krishna will reveal how it was not the right thing. Krishna communicates, don't do this. We're like, no, Krishna, I really want this. Please help me. Krishna gives some signal. Through, you will stumble. Everything is Krishna's control. Like, something will happen and you will get a sign. Krishna is, no, Krishna, I really want this. Then consequences will be there. But in general, Prabhupada says a pure devotee is one who understands what Krishna wants, act accordingly. But if you are too attached, Krishna is so desire. But we should not force Krishna. Consequences will be there. Either desire is not fulfilled or consequences will be there. Is it all right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Should we keep a desire or should we not keep a desire, Prabhuji?
Well, I think what Bhagavatam says, akama sarvo kamova moksha kama udharadi ivena bhakti yogena yadade purusham param. Whether you have a desire, whether you don't have a desire, whether you have a desire for liberation, in any means approach Krishna. Is it all right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
You have to see your desire. If it is conducive to the best of your ability, good. If it is a material desire, then at your end, only curb it. If it is a desire for somebody else's progress, yes, desire it. If it's a desire conducive for Krishna consciousness, go for it. Unconducive, and Krishna will help you discriminate. Unconducive, tolerate it. Krishna also says, who is a yogi? Not one who tried to fulfill all the desire like rivers flowing into the ocean. Not one who is trying to fulfill all the desire. He can never be peaceful. Is it all right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. All right. Prabhuji's Mataji's, thank you very much. It was little late. It was little lengthier session. It took many hours to prepare this also. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnavendra ki jai. If I spoke anything wrong, please forgive me as a humble servant. Dandat pranam, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Dhanyavad
Prabhuji.
Thank
Dandavat
you so
pranam,
much.
Prabhuji.
Thank you
Hare
very much,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna. Dandat
Thank
pranam.
you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, then Pranam.
Dandat pranam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.